Welcome to the Fear and Greed Sunday edition. It's the 29th of August 2021. I'm Sean Aylmer. This is our Sunday show where we slow things down a bit and look at some of the stories that grabbed our attention during the week. Let me introduce you to the Fear and Greed team. First up, we have Adamski. Adam Lang is head of operations at Fear and Greed. He loves a good spreadsheet, that man, and his favourite time, of course, is tax time.
Hello, Sean.
Mickey T, he's Michael Thompson, the Fear and Greed producer. He's always cheerful, well, mostly, not this week so much. Even when things are going wrong, he seems reasonably happy, which makes me think there is something wrong with him.
Hello, Sean. Can you believe this is our fourth episode now of the Sunday edition?
Fourth episode.
So someone lets us keep doing this.
Do you know what I like? Do you know what I like about it, Michael? We actually have got a growing audience on a Sunday.
You're absolutely right, actually, and we're seeing that more and more. And we've had a number of people reaching out to us online on our LinkedIn page, on our Facebook page, and on Twitter. I particularly like this one from Martin, who said, this was like an episode of The View, but with interesting people and topics. I looked up The View online, and I don't know which one of us is Whoopi.
You're Whoopi Goldberg, yeah.
The View has been rated 2.5 out of 10 online, so I actually don't know if Martin's complimenting us.
In fact, Martin, mostly people that compliment us are, of course, people we know. I don't know Martin. I don't know whether you know Martin, but he's my favourite listener right now because of that comment. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Martin. Everyone is welcome to leave messages for us, and we'll definitely try and refer to the good ones, and the bad ones we'll just take on board. Now, Adamski, I want to kick things off with you today. You're a man who loves inspirational speeches, being an inspiration yourself. There was a great interview this week with James Curran, the modern history professor at the University of Sydney. I know you enjoyed that chat. It was all about the need for leadership and speeches in politics and business.
I really did. I thought it was in that interview we had this week, and it's, I think, quite missing from what we're seeing amongst political leadership in the country. And I think we're seeing pockets of it too from business, which is really encouraging. But I would desperately love to see more. I mean, Sean, you've got a great appreciation from your journalism of writing and speeches. I know that you called out Keating in that interview as one of the best. How did you feel about the level of speech making in Australia at the moment?
Well, it always looks better when you look back on it. And JFK, I wonder whether some of his great speeches and Winston Churchill's great speeches were as great in the moment as they are now. Keating had a guy called Don Watson, who is truly one of the great speechwriters of all time, so I think that's part of it. But to your point, and this is something that James actually did after the show, he just went through recent leaders. I'm going to do it with you two. Name a good speech from recent leaders. You've got to come up with what you think about when you think of these people. So let's start with Kevin Rudd.
Apology.
Julia Gillard.
Misogyny.
Tony Abbott.
Can't call one out, really.
My answer to that was conservatism. Some of his approach to conservatism and some of those speeches I actually think were kind of interesting. The other Rudd one I thought was when he on the environment, which of course he backflipped on. John Howard.
Oh, gun control.
Malcolm Turnbull. Exactly.
Probably international affairs, but I'm thinking more thematically than a particular speech.
Yeah. I mean, Turnbull is a great debater, one of the great debaters of all time, and certainly in recent history. Yet, I can't bring a speech to mind that he thought about.
No, I can't either.
Scott Morrison.
No.
Can I nominate a leader from a few years ago who one speech stands out for me, and that is the then Queensland Premier, Anna Bligh, after the floods, remember, in Queensland back in 2011? It was the We Are Queenslanders speech, and it was at a press conference, and the notes from that speech are now in the Queensland State Library, and they are just handwritten notes. There was no speechwriter involved. By the looks of it, it was just her notes, and she delivered that speech, and she was obviously very emotional. And when I think of premiers, that stands out for me as someone who really kind of seized the moment to be a good leader. No matter what you think of her politics, outside of that, that was someone responding to a crisis well.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jeff Kennett did that in Victoria at different times. Real ability to communicate to the general populace difficult changes in a way that they accepted it, which I thought was pretty good.
Sean, the one that sticks out from the business community in my mind is Alan Joyce. And it was during the dispute with the pilots and the wage negotiations. And when he grounded the fleet, I thought that was, whether you think it was good or bad, I thought it was an arresting and powerful speech.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that. And he took them on and he won effectively. And it's not often that you see business leaders like that kind of grab the attention of the population. Now, I suppose airlines, we all use them, so it's a bit close to home.
We do hope to do so again.
Alan Joyce, I think, is quite an incredible individual. I mean, I've sort of known him for a while, and sort of in a professional capacity, I've known him in press conferences or Melbourne Cup Day, those sorts of things with him. He is honestly the most optimistic CEO I have ever come across.
He works a room too, doesn't he?
Oh, he does it beautifully. Mind you, his predecessor, Jeff Dixon, was pretty good too.
That's true.
Yeah, but I mean, this week when Qantas came out and said we lost $2.35 billion last financial year, that's on top of the $2.7 billion we lost the financial year before. So let's make it around $5 billion over the last couple of years. But the good news, we might actually start flying again in December. And all the media reports were about the fact that they've got $4 billion in the kitty, and flights to the United Kingdom, North America, parts of Asia should kick off in December. Of course, that's all predicated on the vaccinations being rolled out. And then he went on to say that, you know, places like Bali and Thailand and South Africa wouldn't be until into next year. But everything was about the fact that Qantas is going to start flying again, when at the end of the day, they've lost $5 billion in 2 years.
Isn't that the contrasting point? You know, so you take that speech or that presentation by Alan Joyce and contrast that with what we were talking about in politics at the moment. This was something that said, yes, it's bad. Here's the facts, but this is the way we're going, and there's a path ahead. I thought it was a really strong speech.
From an investor's point of view, probably this is a question for you, Sean, when you have so many companies that are unable to kind of provide guidance, profit guidance for upcoming periods at the moment because there is so much turbulence and so much unknown, what does an investor kind of take then from seeing a CEO so optimistic? Does that kind of help to make up for what they're unable to officially provide?
Yeah, I suppose you want your CEO to be confident about the future no matter what the circumstances are. And you've had a few of that in the last 12 months, and even this reporting season, companies like Whitehaven Coal, which 12 months ago was going to go under, suddenly will be free of debt in 12 months' time on the back of higher coal prices. Blackmore's Vitamins, which was really struggling and picked up sales in China. Even places like Ansell and some of those organisations, which have really struggled a bit, they are projecting, their CEOs project confidence, which I suppose you want. But one of the real themes to come out through this whole earnings season is they just don't know what the next few months are going to look like. Now, compare that to the UK and European earnings season that have just about been completed now, and Wall Street, which was completed a couple of weeks ago. Everyone there, CEOs are looking beyond COVID, and they're further down the road than we are in terms of living with COVID. And it's all about reopenings, and it's all about the economies taking off. And all those forward statements, they mention COVID, but not much. Whereas what we're talking about here, being 3 months behind, we're still talking too much about COVID.
I totally agree.
I thought Brad Banducci was really interesting this week. So he's the boss of Woolies. And he came out and he talked about how COVID was affecting his staff. So there's about 10,000 of them needing to be double jabbed or be fully inoculated so they can go to work. The store itself, there's a lot of pressure to actually get stock on shelves because they haven't got the people necessarily or the product coming in to get them on shelves. And what I thought was really interesting was, as a CEO, he was really focused on his people, which I think is really good because the bottom line matters. But if your people aren't happy, then I think obviously the bottom line is going to suffer. I thought Mr. Banducci this week, focusing so much on his people in such an important sector, well, he should get credit for that.
I agree. I think it's really significant as well because, to me, supermarket workers have probably been the unsung heroes of the pandemic because a lot of credit goes deservedly to other frontline workers. But these are people then who are turning up every single day, and they are being exposed to a huge number of people coming through shops, and they just have to keep on turning up every single day, stacking shelves, scanning groceries, and they're kind of putting their own health at risk. And so I think from the staff perspective, it would have been nice to see the CEO really kind of giving them some credit for doing that and being focused. So I agree. Really good show.
Adam, you're a CEO of a listed business.
Yes.
How important was staff?
Oh, it's incredibly important. I would say it's your first foundation. If you are going to serve each other in the work you do together, if you're going to serve your customers, if you're going to serve your clients and work well with your suppliers, it's incredibly important to have a team that you work with completely aligned to where the company is going and bound with a reason to be there. That they feel like they make a difference, that their roles count.
Yep.
And that when they do something well, it's recognised.
This has been a very, very serious Sunday edition for us. So I just want to say...
Loosen up a bit, fellas.
Yeah, but I want to say... loosen up. No, 2 words. Ziggy Switowski.
Great name.
Is that not the greatest name in corporate Australia?
It's a tick from me. Hard to beat.
Yeah, I can't think of any better.
So he's a guy, he used to run Telstra and he's chair of NBN, and now he's going to take over and be chair of Crown Resorts. Good luck, Ziggy. But I just want to say his name again. Ziggy Switowski.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Now, staying silly, as we are, cryptocurrencies, Michael.
I knew you were going to segue to me with that, but you know what? I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it because I do want to talk about cryptocurrencies, and I know I'm opening myself up for this because you mock me both on the podcast and off air after the podcast for it. But the fact is, and this is what I want to hear from the two of you.
Sounds like we're being summoned, Sean.
Yeah, I know. I'm just waiting for the question. I have this. Yes. Yes.
Give it a moment. I don't own any cryptocurrency. I don't think I will ever own any cryptocurrency. The reason why that is kind of in the news this week is Bitcoin has had a good week. It shot up past, I think, $50,000 at one point and then dropped back. It's volatile. The other thing about cryptocurrency that pulled it into the news this week, have you ever heard of Cardano, Sean?
The currency? I've heard of it. I know nothing about it, though.
And Adam?
I'm the same.
Is it Kim Cardano?
Yes, that is exactly right. No, that is completely wrong. The fact is that is the third biggest cryptocurrency. I know nothing about it.
Is that new, like this week?
No, it's been around since about 2015. Oh. And it's kind of been moving up and moving up and moving up. And if you believe the hype about it, apparently it'll overtake Ethereum as the number 2 crypto behind Bitcoin.
Time to invest. Mickey, put your house on it.
Well, remember there was a couple of weeks ago, there was that research going around that 1 in 4 Australians either owned or were intending to buy crypto. And I just think that that's highly over-egged. I don't believe it. And we actually tested it, and I'm setting myself up for another scientific LinkedIn poll.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I'm testing my own theory here, and that theory is that cryptocurrency investors are kind of like CrossFit enthusiasts, that there's not many of them, but those who actually do it are really vocal about it. The results of the poll basically said that 60% of people who responded to it don't have crypto as part of their investment strategy, half of them because it's too volatile, the other half because they just, like me and like the two of you, don't know enough necessarily about it. About 25% reckon they've done their homework and are investing, and scarily, 15% are investing purely on guesswork.
Wow.
Which to me is actually shocking that you would make that. I mean, if you're looking just at normal equities, you wouldn't be working on just a guess or just taking a punt. Really?
No. I mean, Warren Buffett's the one who has always said in his 8 or nearly 90 years now that you invest in stuff you understand. So he bought into newspapers many years ago because he understood newspapers had the loudest voice in the land. He's invested in banks. He's invested in insurers. He's invested in railways. He's invested in jewelry stores. His big thing is, I understand why. I understand where the demand is. What you're talking about with cryptos, and so for me, I don't see their use case. I don't understand why there's a value there. And it's like all equities too. If you don't digging up iron ore, I see the value in that. But there's a bunch of other sort of, particularly in the biotech space, which I just don't understand. And so why do you buy stuff that you don't understand?
Adam, could you ever see yourself doing enough research to actually understand it and get on board?
No, Adam might.
He's already got a spreadsheet.
That's just a good weekend for Adam.
I might do enough research, but I probably still wouldn't invest. My two sort of broad concerns with it are there is the prospect of regulation, like actual banks, licensed institutions getting into this market in an international and a local sense. That's one. So there's a big competitive force that's potentially on the horizon. The second one is there's so many of them and it's evolving all the time. I just don't know which one can win, even if that market does come into play. So to your point, Michael, around Cardano, I know nothing about it. Ethereum, very little. Bitcoin, I only know more about it because I've heard so much about it. It's like a spectator sport, but to me, it's one of those classic scenarios where the valuation of the cryptocurrency is based, what it's worth is based on what people think it's worth. And I can't get the fundamentals together under it to understand or invest in it.
There are no fundamentals under it, Adam.
Stop looking.
Michael, I think this is where we need to end it. You've got to get off this whole obsession with cryptocurrencies. Enough.
One last thing before I lose control. I'm relishing my brief moment of control behind the microphone. Last week, I talked about the things that had gone well because people were in lockdown. Two that I mentioned were coming up during the week that have now obviously gone. Stan, streaming subscribers are up. Dan Murphy's liquor sales are strong, so people are watching more TV, they're drinking more alcohol. The two of you were telling fibs last week about how much you guys are drinking. Case closed. Back to you, Sean.
Well, I apologise. I'd like to apologise to all the listeners for that little rant there. Well done, Michael. Nice win. That's it for this morning, Sunday, the 29th of August. Michael, Adam, thank you for being part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
I'll be back tomorrow morning with a regular edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your Sunday.